the idea of having people play in their brackets, I think, is really good. They're going to play more competitive matches against people of a similar standard, and that's the ideal.
Steve, great to see you, mate. You've been an awesome coach across the journey, fantastic pennant player. We're here to talk about UTR. How are you seeing the current landscape at the moment?
A little confusing at the moment. Obviously, it's just been introduced, and to my sort of view, quite suddenly. I sort of thought there was going to be a bit of a crossover between sort of running the UTR and having rankings running in parallel, and also thought that that the new ranking system would be hinged off the UTR. So I think maybe parents are a little confused with, we used to have gold, silver and bronze, and then all of a sudden that disappeared and we've only got the UTR ratings. And so, I mean, look, there are some positives, clearly. I mean, kids aren't chasing points as much anymore. With the rating system, the rating's quite stable. We used to have a lot of matches that were really non-competitive. The first few seeds were getting through love and one, often till quarterfinals and semi-finals, not really playing any competitive tennis. And the only competitive matches they might get would be in a semi-final or in a final. I've even known kids that haven't played for a school holiday break for 2 weeks and their rating's actually gone up.
What we call this stock market effect, I guess, of it, depending on who they've played and all those factors.
The matches that they're playing on at their local club level, be it in their normal association or in Tennis Victoria Pennant, all of those matches are being counted. I've got a lot of kids that have improved their ratings over that period of time, and it gets to the school holiday and the family want to have a break and go away and they're almost satisfied with their rating at the moment. What we have been doing lately is we've been running some sort of almost one-day events where we're getting brackets of 8, so the kids are really tight, and we use a compass draw. So they're guaranteed, win or lose, they're guaranteed their 3 matches if they're in a bracket of 8.
Fantastic.
And it goes off in all different directions.
Yeah, compasses, they work in the nationals too, don't they?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And we had one recently where we had 2 groups of 8, and the matches got through quicker than expected. We ended up playing crossover matches between the groups, and everyone got a ranking within our system from 1 to 16 on that day.
Fantastic.
And we aimed at kids that either had a very low UTR or didn't have one at all. So the kids that didn't have one, it was helpful for them just to establish a UTR by playing against some other players that already had one. Just makes it easier for things like team selection at your local clubs. And obviously the more matches you play, the more accurate it becomes. So initially it can be a little bit wild, a bit off track, but I think the theory is after 5 or 6 matches, it's pretty accurate.
And the environment itself, you would say, what's the perfect environment to run UTRs? Where does it work really well?
I think as long as the kids are in the same bracket, which is the whole concept, as long as they're relatively close, the matches should be competitive. We've got a lot more local kids playing. We used to have people travelling, interstate and from way over Victoria and staying locally. We're finding now that our draws are smaller. But also I think when you're advertising for an event, being really descriptive on who you want to and who you expect to play an event, even to the point of eliminating people who don't fit within the brackets.
So being solution-based, what would you look to tweak about the UTR and going to regional events?
I think if you can set brackets, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, still staying within the framework of the 2 points so that the UTR algorithm works in the background, I think that works. But I think you really have to nail down exactly what you want, who you're aiming it for, and have other tournaments on at the same time. Other tournaments that are doing exactly the same thing, but for different people. You have 3 to 5 somewhere, 5 to 7 somewhere, 7 to 9 somewhere else.
Do you think the UTR's helped, and you were a great pennant player and played for, 20, 30 years?
No, not that long. 20. I played for 20. I played 20 years of state grade pennant.
Yes, yeah. That's right. Do you see UTR having a benefit for pennant?
I think the fact that local matches and pennant matches are included in the UTR now is really, really positive. You see matches coming in where players have a very close UTR. Generally, it's a really close match. With 100% accurate UTRs, the matches are very competitive. I think it's a good system. Ultimately, you've got to become a better player. If you work on, your technique, if you work on your tactics, if you become better physically and mentally, you're going to become a better player.
Improve your level.
That's right. And if you improve the standard of your play, your UTR will take care of itself. I think it's the coach's responsibility to guide them into the right level of tournament. And if we can be more prescriptive on what this tournament is expecting, some tournaments now with the UTR are unisex, some are still based on age, and others are just, based on gender, but then on UTR brackets. So I think it's up to the coach to do the research, understand, and guide their pupils into tournaments that are relevant for them, matches that are going to be meaningful. And Yeah, and hopefully they get competitive matches, which is the whole concept behind it. But if you've got a UTR and you're not chasing the points all the time, you don't have to play all the time. You can actually have periods of development where you're not competing.